Cameraman says we're good, and we should always listen to the cameraman. He knows all. Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer Navarrete. Nice to meet you. I work with First in Texas, and this is my 4th season doing robotics. And I don't even know what my life was like before robotics, and I probably will never know a time when my life doesn't have robotics in it. It's fantastic. I'm really lucky to be able to share social media across the state. If you follow the First in Texas Twitter account, Facebook, Instagram, any of our social posts, then you're following our team. And if you interact with us, we interact back with you. And so that really is what this is about, interaction. This session is also going to be extremely interactive. If you have a question 2 slides in, ask it. And we have this actually right here, which they tested it earlier. There, it's on, I think. The light's on. Anyway, I want to make sure that you all are able to get your questions answered. So it's going to be very interactive. If you'll see a few things up here, you'll see that we're going to do a little bit of fun role play when it comes to media. So let's get started. First of all, we want you to connect with us. And actually, I want you to connect with everybody in this room. And I want you to connect with everybody that's in this building and everyone who's involved in robotics. Because that's what we are. We're a community. We're connecting with one another and sharing each other's stories. One of the things I thought that was really cool was seeing some of the teams doing fundraisers to try and earn money to get over here to championship. And other teams sharing that message, which I thought, that's fabulous. There's really no gain for any team that's not directly involved to share it. But that's what we are. We're a community, right? Gracious professionalism, co-opetition, and social media is a really great platform to do that. We are primarily on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you are in those places, we are too. So let's get connected. And we're doing a lot of posts here just as well as we hope you are. Hashtag, First Champ. We talked about that a little while ago. Like, what are the hashtags that we're using? So here we're talking about First Champ. And then we're also talking about STEM Squad, OMG Robots, FRC teams, FTC teams, FLL, all of those hashtags. And it's fun to do that because it's a discoverability tool. How many folks, I'm pretty sure everyone here understands hashtags. How many folks maybe don't? That's awesome that we have a very connected community. So it's a great discoverability tool and being part of a conversation. We always have to do these sessions, we always have to talk about privacy because we have to be careful with what we're doing. There is one seat up here if someone wants to sit. I know we've all been on our feet all day long. So if somebody wants to sit up here, there's 2 seats over here. There's 1 seat over there. Don't be shy. Come on, have a seat. So we talk about privacy. It's all fine and dandy for us to be on social, to be sharing what's going on with our teens, but as a parent, and as many parents, one of the things they come up to me and they say is, how do we know if our kids are safe? How do we know if what's happening out there? So we just want you to be smart. Recognize the fact that it's a digital world, that everyone is listening and everyone is watching. We have these devices here, these connected devices that this is our studio, right? You can record a song, you can make a movie, you can take photos, you can do all kinds of things with this. Well, just because you can do it also means that everyone else can too. Just be mindful of what you're doing and when you're doing it and what you're sharing, and be considerate of that. There are ways, so let's take Facebook for example. Facebook is constantly changing their privacy, right? How many times do you think that I've got Facebook privacy nailed down? I got it, it's done. And then they change their algorithm and all of a sudden you have to go back through again. Go back through frequently and check everything. And even if you notice a change at all, go back through, because what they've done is they've made everything more open. I remember a time in Facebook when if you were under the age of 17 and younger, that the maximum reach that your profile had was friends of friends, and now it's actually public. So create lists. We all know about lists on Facebook and Twitter, yes? Okay, I wanna make sure you guys are like after lunch sleepy here. But so lists on Facebook, every time you create a post, I see a mom here shaking her head, so I love it. So every time you write a post on Facebook, you have the opportunity to select who can see that. Is it the public at large? Is it a list that you've made? So you have a family list, acquaintance list, a business list, maybe it's a robotics list. Create as many lists as you want, and that way when you're sharing your messaging, it's going directed to who you want to see, and people that you don't want it to see won't see it. I know a lot of times that during robotics season, a lot of us are overwhelming our feed with robots, and maybe there's a community that wants to see that, and maybe there's some that don't. So you can create those lists and be real selective on that. It can work in all kinds of fun ways and neat ways. There's one seat up here if somebody absolutely needs to sit down. There's a seat, 2 seats up here. So with privacy, just be smart, constantly check your settings, be aware that things change all the time and that you want to stay on top of it, because we do want to, as much as social is out there, we also want to be smart about it. So one of the things I like to do when I talk about social media is really dig into a little bit about something that FIRST does that's in relation to social media. And we look at the Media and Technology Innovation Award. Now I know that's only available to FRC teams at this time, but regardless of it being only available to FRC teams, it is something that the lessons and the things that they're asking for are things that we can all use and things that we can all learn from. So I like to dig into it for that reason. And it talks about recognizing the team that develops and implements the most outstanding digital experience and marketing strategy. Really, they outline, here's what we're looking for. And believe me, how many folks have gone for this award before? How many teams have? Anyone? It's extensive, is it not? It's a lot of detail. There's a lot going on there. But I'm only gonna, if I actually put what they're asking for, there wasn't a submission link on the website this year? All right, somebody get on that. There's a dead link on here for the NBC Comcast Universal has been the sponsor of the event, and they might know a thing or two about media, maybe, TV, movies. So let's see what they say proves that you're using media properly. So they're asking for students to consider a broad amount of channels, right? It's not just blog posts, it's not just tweets, it's not just photos, it's not just videos. They want you to have this all-encompassing digital message. And do you know why? Because not all of us consume content the same way. Some of us like to read, some of us like to do, some of us like to listen, some of us like to watch. And so in the way that we consume content, we have to create content that way. So let's say you're the writer, you're the blogger in the group, and to you, that's the end-all be-all. That's all we need to do is blog or tweet. But what about the folks who are more video-centric? I have friends that will only watch videos. If they see a blog post, to them, it's like this wall of text, their eyes glaze over, and they're, next, next, next. So can you take that blog content and repurpose it in a way for a video? Can you do it for photos? Can you do it as an audio interview? You can. And so you want to create content in more than just the way that you consume content. I'll give you an example. When I was raising my kids when they were little, I'm a reader. I love reading. I like dissecting into details. It's fascinating to me. My first son, my oldest son, was not a reader, and I could not grasp how he couldn't be learning the way I did. Well, I had to adjust. I was a young mother. I had to adjust on what that was and change it, and that really kind of got that light bulb where I realized that everybody learns differently. Of course, I'm much older. He's already 27. But, by the way that you learn is not the way everyone else consumes content. So create content in all kinds of ways, and if you're like, but I'm the writer, find the guy or gal that's the photographer. Find the guy or gal that's, the video person, and have them take your content and push it to the next level. By the same token, if you find your team is getting a lot of hits on a great video, write about it, because the truth is that Google spiders do not read video. That's why you have to put words in there. That's why if you're doing a podcast, you have to put show notes, because that's what the Google spiders read. If you have a video, you put a description of the video, because that's what they read. So you have to kind of put your technical hat and your creative hat on when you're thinking about putting stuff on the web. Did I lose people when I said Google spiders? So the web, right, the internet, the web. So every time that you create new content, regardless of where you create it, in essence, what it does is if a little bug lands on a web for an actual spider, it tingles the web, and the spider goes, hey, something's over there, and crawls over there and checks it out. We use that terminology to describe what happens when we're talking about creating new content. So when you write a new blog post and you hit publish, in essence, you're going to the web and tickling it, and Google is going to send a spider over there to crawl to say, hey, what's going on over here? What's new? And that way it can index that content for you. But if you do a photo, how many times do you do a Google search for photos and you download a photo that you like and it's like image number 5, 7, 10 something, which does not describe the photo at all, right? Well, if we as humans who can see the picture but look at the words also, look at image 5, 7, whatever, think about what the spiders do. They're looking at image 5, 7, 10. What is that? So every time you post content, Make sure that you're describing what that is. So anytime that we post photos, even if it's image whatever, we have to go and take the time to actually say, this is FRC teams, this is FRC, in the pits, this is it. Even though in theory, if you're like, well, why would you need to describe it? It's obviously, if you look at the picture, it's there. Well, no, the Google spiders don't see it. And also you want to be mindful of folks who are visually impaired and they're using readers to read out what it is. They're not going to be able to see it either. So think about those kinds of things when you're creating content for social, that it's got to be repurposed in a way that's not just for you, but is for all kinds of people so that they can consume that content. The easier that you make it to consume content, the more likely your content is to be consumed, shared, liked. We get those stats and look at everything that goes up. So what they're looking for is a social, rich, and viral media, something that's going to be fun and engaging. They want it to express the excellence in the first message. And the strategy, you've got to have at least 2 channels. How many folks know that when you create social media that it's kind of like a puppy or a baby? You can't just create, here's Twitter, and you're going to walk away for 6 months and think it's going to be glorious. What does Twitter need? How many times does it need it? All the time. It's like a puppy, right? If you get a brand new puppy, you're not just like, oh, that's cute, and then walk away for 6 months and think it's going to be fine. No, that puppy needs food, needs to be taken out, it needs to be played with. Social media is very much the same way. So they're saying you need at least 2 channels. They're right. But are there 10 places that your robotics team could be? Probably. You could probably be in 10 places, but should you be in those places? Not if you can't maintain it. When it comes to social media, we're looking at time, team, and tools, those 3 things. So even though maybe everybody and their brother's on this hot new social network, do you have the time to dedicate to it, really to do it right? Do you have the team to do it right? And do you have the tools to do it right? So think about quality versus quantity. And my advice is, if you're a team that has very little and or a rookie team or no social media, start slowly. Maybe you're thinking you need to be in those 10 places, but start with 1 to 3. Learn them, get them to where they're a seamless part of your day. I know some of the adults in the room remember a time before email, which I know you kids are like, what? But do you remember before email came along, all of a sudden they were like, at work, it's like, here's this email you're gonna have to do. I remember thinking, you gotta be kidding me. Do they know how busy I am and they're gonna ask me to add this thing called email to my workload? What is email now? Seamless part of the day, not even a thought. Social media is the same way, eventually, but you have to get it where it's integrated into your work day every day. There's a lot of tools you can use to do it. You have a team. That's a cool thing about robotics. It's team to do it, but make sure that you can do it and you can do it well. That's why First in Texas isn't everywhere. There's a lot of places we could be, but we want to do what we're doing and want to do it really well. We're also very focused on, where are you all? You all are at events. What are the 3 social networks at events that everybody's using the most? Shout them out. Okay, who else? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I would say that we use Twitter and Instagram at events primarily, and then we create photo albums and we feed the photo albums into Facebook. But yeah, so think about that. That's already a lot of time that it takes. And so we've focused primarily in that way, just so that it works well, and we're also hitting you where you're at. Know your audience. Who's your audience, your robotics team? Is it partners or sponsors? Is it your school district or the folks that are mentoring you and coaching you? Is it potential future robotics members? Think about who your audience is and how you can reach them and speak to them. So have a clear strategy, make clear objectives, communicate that strategy really well, and overall experience. I know with robotics teams that members are going in and out all the time. In essence, every 2 to 4 years, you've got a whole brand new team that's going in and out. So maybe the team that created Twitter and Instagram, they're already in college, they're alumni now, and then you've got these whole new members. So let's say that your logo has changed, and it was Twitter, was created 5 years ago, and now you have a brand new team. Make sure that your website, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everything looks the same. That I don't have to wonder if I'm where your team is. If you can, get your same team name across all your channels. I'll tell you the biggest challenge we have right now is that we're posting things to Instagram and having it share, using if this then that to share to Twitter, but a lot of the teams' Twitter handles are not the same as their Instagram handles, and so it doesn't translate very well. Some do. For us, we're first in Texas everywhere. Now, I know a lot of times you may say, well, a team already had that name, so you can't, that's fine. You can't do anything about it. But if at all, if you can help it, or if you're in control of it, make sure that you have this seamless look and feel that I don't have to wonder if it's you there or anywhere else. Did you have a question? Oh, no, you're just stretching? Yeah, she's trying to wake up. Okay. And then engagement. Did your digital media engage with your audience? So social media is absolutely fabulous, right? You can, at all hours of the night, you can be talking to folks. But if it's like a megaphone where you're just doing one-way conversation and people aren't messaging you, they're not liking what you're doing, they're not sharing what you're doing, then perhaps you need to adjust your messaging so that it's more engaging and not, hey, our team is awesome and you should love us. It should be more like what we do here, gracious professionalism and co-opetition. So it's about more than a website. It's about you and all of you. I like to think about social media and your website as kind of like your website's like planet Earth. It's your home base. But around planet Earth, there's what? A bunch of satellites that do things differently. They're helpful. They give us, all kinds of great things. So if planet Earth is your website and the satellites are your social presence, planet Earth should say, these are my satellites. Here's Facebook, here's Twitter, here's Instagram, here's YouTube, here's Snapchat. But each one of those satellites should absolutely say, here's planet Earth, here's the home. Because you don't know where I'm going to discover you. I may discover you on YouTube for the very first time, and you may think I should have started at your website, but I found you on YouTube. I found a cool video that you made for one of the events or one of the things that are going around here where they're doing win scholarships or win donations or win prizes, and you've made a cool video, and I'm like, wow, that is a really cool video. Who is this team? And then so hopefully you have your URL on your cover art for YouTube, and then I can click there and it takes me to planet Earth. And from there it says, oh, you're on Twitter. Oh, you're on Snapchat. Oh, you're on, Instagram. And so let me go deeper. Allow your fans and followers to go deeper, and do that by making sure that everything is connected, making sure that everything has a seamless look and feel. And if you can help it, try and have your name be the same everywhere that you are. And if you can't, that's okay. Try and make it as close as possible. So is everyone on the same page right now? Okay, good. No questions? Yes. Oh, WordPress, so you're like your blog. Mm-hmm. It just stands for the blog. So you may be like, what? Well, really it's about your story. So you have a team, maybe that's a rookie team that starts for the first time. Well, where does that idea come from? Are we taking that very first step and saying, we're thinking about starting a robotics team. We're gonna see what that's all about. And then the next thing, it's like, we filled out the paperwork. We applied for a grant. Now we have to come up with a team name, and here we are deciding what kind of team name to come up with. And then you go to the next level. We're like, here's our team name, and here's our cool shirts. And this is the story, right? The once upon a time. So between once upon a time, what happens, then we go through the chapters of the story, and then we get to the end, right? And hopefully with the robotics team, there's no end. There is just graduation to book 2 and book 3 and book 4. But it's about your story. So breadcrumb your story to your audience. Let us know those ups and downs, because if you think about storytelling, there's not everything works. What about the time that you spent all weekend long writing a program, and by the time you went to go test it on the robot, it didn't work? Or what about the time that you were doing the build and you thought it was going to climb, and it didn't climb, right? You don't give up. But it's at the time, you're like, oh, God, help me. But that's that journey, that's that breadcrumbing, because we like to see you overcome. And you do overcome. You're here. You're overcomers in general, just overall. So share that story with your audience. You'd be surprised at how interesting it is. And we want to cheer you on. By the time you get to this stage of championship, you've had that very first meeting and everything that it went in between, and there's been ups and downs, and things worked and they didn't work. By the time you get here, I'm your rabid fan because I've been following everything that you're doing. I'm here in Texas, and so I follow a lot of our Texas teams, and I'm following their highs and their lows and their funny times, and seeing them at competitions when things are glorious and times when they're less than. But it's still them, and I'm cheering them on, and I cheer a lot of the teams that aren't from Texas on too, because they come to Texas for competitions, and I get to know them. So you all are a part of our story, and our stories are intertwined. So share those things, and it's fun and exciting. So it's about how you tell your story. It's really a two-way conversation. We've got the once upon a time, and then someone's like, wow, you did that? And it's like, wow, I want to hear more. We want to become part of it, and if you create an engaging story about your team, we're going to want to stay a part of it. So, it's about how your fans tell your story. What about your fans who have been following you and now they're sharing your story? And they're your rabid fans, and they're your messengers, and they're the ones bringing people to you. If you tell your story in a way that makes it engaging, then pretty soon you're not telling your story at all. Everyone's telling your story for you. So where do I start? Well, if we go back to the Innovation Award, I always like to take the team that won last year and dissect them. Let's look at them. What did they do to win? In 2016, the winners were the L&N STEM pucks, FRC 3966. So let's take a look at this. Green, got the steampunk thing right here. There they are. Congratulations on last year. Excited you're here again this year. So are you part of the social media team? Come on up. We're going to dissect you. Does this one work? Did we decide it worked? Test. We might just hand this back and forth. Okay, so this is part of the team that won. So let's see what they did. Here's their Twitter account. Do I know I'm in the right place? Am I questioning that I'm at the L&M STEM Punked account? No, right? I know I'm there. And they even had the wanna see our winning submission to the technology award on this post. So talk a little bit about your branding, because if I look at Facebook, I know I'm in the right place. If I look at their YouTube channel, I know I'm in the right place. And here's something I want you to look at the right corner. Website, Twitter, Instagram. If I discover them for the first time there, do I know, oh, there's more about them that I could find out?
So I'm the communications lead for the team, so I've been kind of working on this for the last couple of years. And like you said earlier, we use the website as a central hub. So everything we have is trying to get back to our website and back to our other pages, because that gives you the most views per anything else. By having that sort of web of information, people are able to find out more and more about you, and find out not just, well, here they are on Twitter, but, well, how can I sponsor them now that I have more information about them? How can I join their team? Well, they go to the website, or they contact you on Facebook, because they can go through messages. So the best way to do that is to be recognizable. So having a consistent brand that people can recognize like that, you can see us and say, well, they're the STEM Punk team. They have the griffin, they have the green, they have the same font. So just being recognizable on all your platforms is really what's essential for running any of your social media pages.
And your website, the thing about your website is it tells about your team. It's not telling what your team's doing at that very second, like, hey, we're at competition. It's telling, hey, these are our sponsors. These are the people, these are pictures from our outreach events. It's an overall thing rather than the in-the-moment thing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. L&M STEM Punked. So how many of y'all right now are thinking, ooh, we need to go kind of adjust some of our branding, right? Yeah, it's okay. We've all been there. You're not alone. Here they are on Instagram. Here's their winning submission. So these are the ladies that put it together, which I think is absolutely fabulous. They talked about what they were doing. Notice how at the very top, it's like these are their satellites, right? We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on, is that Flickr? Yeah. Flickr's an oldie, that's good. That's where we were, okay, yeah, Flickr's an oldie. Okay, connecting with the East Texas community. So here's their mission statement, their reach, what they're doing. Now remember in the criteria for the award, you needed to have committed statements on, here's the things that we're going to do. Keep it simple, keep it concise. They aim to be excellent, to innovate, and to be consistent. Here's what they're planning to do. By the way, if you look here to the left, that's the PDF of the document. Most of I think pretty much all the teams that have won the Innovation Award have a way for you to look at it. And so probably what might you want to do if you were going for this? You might want to dig into that and model it a little bit, put your own flavor on it, see what's winning. Remember, this is what NBC, Comcast, Universal said was excellent. And once again, they might know a thing or two about media, maybe. They have Slack, Trello, here's their website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and in the future, here's what they want to do. So they said, here was our mission, here's what we've done, here's where we've done it, here's how we've done it, and here's what we plan to do in the future. Very concise, that's exactly what was asked for, and that's exactly how they did it. Branding all the way through. Very, very good. So good job, team. Love the fact that you're in here. I'm very glad that you're in here. So this is what you can do. Model this. They're here. Talk to them. Go in and get their advice on what it is that you could do, in stages. Don't feel like you have to go home and like all of a sudden, scrap everything and start over. Adjust, just start adjusting things. Because remember, your audience is accustomed to a certain message and a certain way of doing things. Don't shock them. Kind of take them on that journey too. And if you don't have any presence at all and or you're wanting to get started, remember you always have to set that expectations. If all of a sudden you start a brand new social network and all of a sudden you're on there every day, you're answering things like this, and then maybe 2-3 months, you get busy or things happen, and then all of a sudden you're kind of leaving your fans in the lurch because they're accustomed to hearing from you frequently. So set that expectations. Now, as robotics teams, our fans are accustomed to hearing from us a lot during build season and during competition season. A little bit less during off season, but even then, during off season, does robotics ever really have an off season? No. There's off-season events, there's community outreach, there's all kinds of stuff. So just set those expectations, and it's something that we all kind of come to understand. If you all are looking at your stats the way that you should be, on Google, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, you'll notice that we're all interacting with one another at a high pitch at this time of the year, and then it slacks off a little bit, and if you go year after year, you see the steadiness of the statistics. And take a look at those stats. It really does help you get a sense of your audience and really your own engagement. So sponsorship ideas. Social media and sponsorship. Well, social media is a great way to shine a spotlight on the people who are helping your team do what it is that you do. Traveling the way that we all travel and doing the things that we do, it definitely takes more than just a few cents. So create sponsorship packages that include a social media component. Think about a platinum sponsor having robot branding and t-shirt branding and pit and sponsor banners and featured sponsor blog posts and web logos and Facebook and it could go on and on and on. You could create a radio show about your team, and at maybe once a month you interview one of your sponsors. It's a great way, and make sure that I'm sure that you all are all tagging your sponsors every time you talk about them. You're here, they're here, you're taking photos with them to thank them for what they're doing. Here at First in Texas, we have these thank you cards that when we go to events, we look at which teams are sponsored by who, and we have signs that are like, Dell and the different companies that sponsor the teams, and so we go around and have them have a thank you sign with the sponsor. It's a little thank you campaign, and then we put those together at each event. At the end of the year, we create like a slideshow collage, and it's just something simple and fun, and it's something that you can do as well. So think about those kinds of creative things, and we'll go into a little bit of that more. By the way, this slideshow is for all of you. It's going to be on slideshare.net. You can come and look at it. My mission for you is to learn, share, grow. I have teams that take this when we do these workshops here in the state, and they go back to their city and they teach it to the other teams that weren't able to attend, and I would like for you to do the same. Add it, adjust it, tweak it for yourself, but this is this learn, share, grow thing that we're doing here. So create fun slideshow videos. Let's see if this works for me. It worked in before. This was at the Alamo Regional. That just happened a couple weeks ago. We had some of the 501st Legion show up. So that was a bunch of photos and little quick videos that we took during the day. At the end of the competition, we threw it together, created a little slideshow video. These little slideshow videos get so many likes and shares and interaction that you kind of think, well, these are things that we've already shown you before, but you put it in a fun little video, and all of a sudden, it's more engaging. And I will tell you that if you can get somebody like a stormtrooper to show up at your event, it's pretty great. Here was one we did in September with First Takes the Field. And we had 4 FRC teams competing at NRG Stadium, and we had some Houston Texans players show up. So how hard is it to do something like that? It's not. It's easy. Do it. It's fun. Do you know what I wanted to show you those 2 videos, and then I wanted to ask you, what did you see when I talk about shining a spotlight on the people that help us do what we do? What kinds of shots did you see in those videos? Group. Okay, so she said group shots. Who else? Action shots. What else? Signs of logos, sponsors. We had specials, the opening ceremony speaker photos, partner, we call them partners, but sponsor. Notice how we were volunteers, pit admin, all the folks that are talking. So we're trying to make sure that we're recognizing everyone, as much people as or much groups of people as we can that make these events happen. And you probably didn't maybe notice it so much because it's intermixed with the robot teams and with the robots and with what's going on. But if you'll do that, then and we tag our partners when we do these kinds of things. They love it. It's a really great way for you to shine a spotlight on what they're doing to help you do what we're doing here, with robotics. So it's simple, and it's not. A lot of times, I think what folks think when they think about, well, we got to talk about our partners or we got to talk about our sponsors, it feels kind of pressurized, but I don't think those were very pressurized. I think they were a lot of fun. And you can do the same thing. And let me tell you, your partners are going to love the kind of attention that you can pay to them on social media. Now, these are, I call these advanced strategies, but really they're just basic, they're smart strategies. Third-party management tools, content calendar, and repurposing content. How many folks are using third-party tools to manage their social media? So each of you are going to you're going to Twitter, you're going to Facebook, you're going to Instagram, you're going to each of those places to do your social media. Okay, so if you have the time, the team, and the tools to do it, great. But what if you're a small team? What if you're a time-strapped team? What if you're a team-strapped team? Then what can you do? You can use things like Hootsuite, Sprout Social, Mav Social. You can use Bitly as a shortener, Buffer, Social Oomph. There's any number of third-party management tools out there that will help kind of shrink that time. That puppy needing to go out a lot. It's like getting a dog walker to some extent, where you still have to take care of it, but now it's not every single thing every single time because it's a dashboard, and you have everything in one place, and you can schedule posts, and you can see everything that's coming in one place. So this is a great. Think about look at third-party management tools as a management strategy for your time, because I know during robotics season, when did we, I bet you many of us here got very little sleep last night, and that's pretty much par for the course for the entire season, right? Build season and everything. So think about, this is gonna be a time saver for you, so might wanna take a look at it. And then content creation. How many folks are using editorial calendars to manage their content? Couple? Here, hand this back to him.
So essentially, what my team does is we lay out all of our social media post ideas for the week, and then we select them down and put them on a calendar, and then we take those photos in our shop, or we do that, and then we post them. So that's kind of what we do. We kind of plan it out in advance, and it helps us kind of control all the social media.
That is exactly what it's for. We're going back to time, right? How much time do we have? And so having a calendar and knowing what it is. I'll give you there are seasons, right? There's build season, there's robotics season, there's off seasons. But so we know this is coming. It's not a surprise that it's coming, right? We're not like first Saturday in January going, what? Kickoff? I had no idea. No, we know. So plan for it. Know that that's coming and plan for it. And you know that there's, build season and you know everything that's going to happen. Well, your social media should already have that in place and so that it's part of the story. This is time management and it really makes a lot of sense. Does that mean you can't just throw serendipitous stuff up there? Well, yeah, you can. Something might happen. You might get a new sponsor. Of course, we're going to, devote some social media space to that. But if you have an editorial calendar and a content creation calendar, that's really going to help you out as an team to know that if something's coming up unexpected, you're like, oh, that would make a really great post for this next month because we're talking exactly about that content. It's like a scheduling list. Yeah, so I like to look at it as like monthly themes. So if you have a monthly topic, and let's say you divide week 1 is the introduction to this topic, week 2 is this aspect of this topic, and then on week 4 it's like, here's the summary of everything we did, and then it's like, I don't know what I'm doing differently. Okay, I guess I'm gonna stay over here, just right here, move around. I'm too close to the other mic? Could be. So content creation editorial calendar, if you Google editorial calendar, there's a whole bunch of them out there. This is a simple one. The one we use for First in Texas is actually a combination of 3 different calendars that we've merged into one, and it works. We have like a roadmap for the year, and then we have the month, and then by week. But once again, find one that works for you, because I usually will have 2 or 3 that if I'm working with someone new, I'll be like, here's options. And it's always funny how some different people who think differently and process differently will choose some. Some don't want a spreadsheet. Some want an Excel spreadsheet. Great. Some want just a physical calendar. Great. Some want a list. Great. Whatever works for your team, you can use it. Well, you could have a day, so I guess if that goes back to setting expectations. So if you set expectations that on whatever day of the week, this is when you're going to be conversing with your social community, and they expect it, that's fine. What we have found in social media, though, is that it's constant. It's a stream that's flying by, and so you have to so even though maybe you go check on Wednesdays at 10 a.m., the rest of us are checking at, Tuesday at midnight, or, you know what I mean? It's varied. So you want to create content at different times because you're trying to find the peak times for different people. And your statistics will tell you that. When are the peak times for the people in different age groups, for the people who are in certain parts of the world, and different days, which days are better. Are you all surprised that Saturday is our top day? And that Sunday, and that Monday actually is our lowest interaction day? Because we're all so tired from the events. Sunday we get the bounce back because everybody's posting all their photos, but Saturday's the top day, Monday's the least interactive day that we have. I'm sure if you look at your statistics, you'll find that's probably about right for you as well. Repurposing content, you've heard me say that a few times, but I wanted to make sure to really kind of dig into it and address it. So you write a post, you share a picture or a video once, and you're like, it's awesome, and then you move along, and then you create new content. But what is wrong with a week later, a month later, doing a Throwback Thursday, or posting it in a new way across different networks, or doing what we did? All of those photos and those little SlideShare videos and the little videos were things that, most of them were things that we had already posted on Instagram or on Twitter or on Facebook individually. But when we put them together and created that slideshow video, we repurposed that content. So think about creating, if you've had something that was really good, think about sharing it again, or sharing it on another platform, maybe rewording it, applying it in different ways, because creating that content, it takes time. And and you're like, wow, that was really good. And now you're like, oh, I gotta go do that again. And a lot of times you can just take what you already have and repurpose it, and it'll be just fine, because I may not have seen it that first time because, I'm a night owl and you're an early bird. And so you're posting really early in the morning and I'm like still snoozing. But if you were up at midnight or 1 o'clock, boy, chatty Cathy time. So once again, repurpose content because you don't know when someone is going to find it. Now here's the fun idea sharing. We talk about how our teams having Twitter and social media accounts, but could your robot have a social media account? Do any teams here have robots that have social media accounts? Not yet? So you know that the Mars Curiosity rover on Mars, the Curiosity rover on Mars, has a Twitter account, right? How many of us follow the, yeah, I do too. How many folks follow the Sarcastic Rover? Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's funny. But is that rover actually tweeting? No. I'm sorry if I'm breaking your heart right now. But you're like, no, don't tell me. So it started out with a 24-year-old employee at NASA, and now they have an entire team. But it's an interesting thing to think that I want to know what that rover's up to and what it's doing, and it has a personality. So could your robot have a Twitter account? Could it have an Instagram account? You know, could it have those things? Sure, but then you're thinking, well, wait a minute, Jennifer, didn't you just tell me about time, team, and tools, and that social media is like a puppy? So if our team has to take care of social, and then now our robot has a social media account, and we have to make sure that the robot is telling its story, that's a lot of work. Well, okay, I hear you. I feel your pain. How about, could your robot do a takeover of your team's Twitter account? Could it take it over during a robotics competition where it's telling its story? Like the FRC teams, your robots got crated up and sent over here. I can't even tell you how when we went over there to go look at before you guys could get in there at 1 o'clock, how lonely all those little crates looked. And I just could picture those poor little robots in there, and it's like, it's dark. I hear sounds. Where's my team? I mean, my mind just went nuts. I'm like, somebody needs to be tweeting the robot side of this robot season, right? So could your robot do a takeover of your team's Twitter account and make it like the team doesn't know? They have no idea. It's the weekend, they're all home, they have no idea I've taken over. Ask me anything, kind of a thing. You could. Do you have to? No. This is idea time. This is, for the teams that have done everything or are doing everything very well, this is a way to be kind of fun and creative. And if you're wanting to start there, maybe that might be fun. So think about that. Oh, and by the way, do you love that tweet where the Curiosity Rover says, I have a freaking laser, but I'm not all ill-tempered? When you all are building and coding and doing the engineer's notebook and all those other great things, do any of you listen to music? So could your team create a music channel that is the music that built a robot? Maybe, and you're like, well, okay, Jennifer, but our engineers listen to techno and our builders listen to classic rock. Fine, create 2 different channels. And just have fun with it. These are just ideas to have fun with, to do something different, to kind of set yourself apart. But be creative. And then going back to the little video, consider creating quick live videos that tell bits and pieces of your story. Snapchat's big. Facebook is getting in on that with stories, and Instagram now has stories. So obviously, if we just look at the writing on the wall, we know that everything's going in that direction. Twitter has Periscope, which is not quite the same, but video is definitely the way to go. But once again, don't leave out the rest of your audience who like to read or who like to listen. Having said that, podcasting is up and coming. I've been podcasting since 2005. So I've seen the whole thing where it's like, oh, this is really cool. And it's like, nobody's really interested. And now it's coming back to where it's really cool. So could your team have an online radio show where you interview your partners, you interview team members? We're interviewing the engineering team. We're interviewing the programmers. We're interviewing the marketing team. We're interviewing the school administrator, the principal, the coach, the mentors, our parents. I do a lot of interviews, and I ask parents, what did you think when your son or daughter came up to you and said, I want to join the robotics team? Some parents are like, yeah, I thought it was really cool. And other parents are like, oh man, I had no idea what any of that was about. And of course now, as we all know, FIRST takes us there every step of the way, from student to mentor to coach to volunteer. We'll all get there, but that's all part of the story. So think about if you've ever wanted to be, have your online radio show, this is an opportunity to do it, and another version of telling your robotics team story. I get the feeling this row right here, a radio show happening right here. It's gonna happen. And then here's the attribution. Remember I said that this is something that's available to all of you? This is just the attribution for it, and that's all that is. So having said that, let me come over here real quick. Here's us on Instagram. Think about following us. Here's us on Twitter. here we are on Facebook, and maybe, whoa, I'm missing something. Did I skip something? Did you all get this where you got this is just an aside, did you all get a chance to see any of this? To make it loud? It's out there. Maybe, just maybe, we might be launching our little Snapchat this weekend, so stay tuned. But having said that, I'd like for us, we have time, and I purposely built in time because I want to have some interactive fun. That's what this is over here, right? So who wants to be interviewed about their robotics journey right now? Come on down, you're the next contestant. So this is where it gets tricky. We're going to stand up here. Take that. I'm going to take this. I told you it was interactive, right? I wasn't kidding. So, I use an app. You can use any app, by the way, but I use a very simple app. And I like to do these types of interviews because they're fun. And then I like to post them online because it's fun. So it's called iTalk, Griffin iTalk, simple, easy. It's got a big button. How hard is that, right? Push the button and record. So we're going to do it this way. This, simple, right? All of us have this in our pocket. You have your mobile studio ready to roll. Now, do you have to have that? No. This mic here is pretty good. You could use, this over here. So I have a wireless lapel or a wired lapel mic, and then I have this little mic right here. If you want to pull that out, whatever you have, use whatever you have. Don't feel like you have to go buy everything. If all you have is your phone, the mic on here is pretty good. It actually is. So we're going to try and do this where you're holding that, but hold it between us. Okay, ready. Hey everybody, this is Jennifer Navarrete with First in Texas, and I'm here with
Keegan,
and you are from?
Knoxville, Tennessee.
And what's your team?
Team 3140 Flagship.
Team 3140 Flagship. So talk to me about your robotics journey because everyone has a story about how they became involved in First.
Well, our robotics team helps out a lot with like our football games and stuff. So I was there with my friends, and then I saw the robotics team, and I knew that one of my friends was on the robotics team, and then he saw that I was up in the stands, so then afterwards he talked me into joining robotics, like saying that it was a bunch of fun and that they have free snacks. So.
Did you hear the selling point here? It wasn't actually that it was fun, it was that they had free snacks. So if you're recruiting, you might want to add that to your pitch, and we have free snacks, because you might just get, and what is it that you do on the team?
I help out with like a lot of the scouting and also the CAD design.
So is that something you knew already or something that you learned?
It's something that I learned from one of the seniors on our team, Nolan. He really like helped me and taught me and was a really great mentor.
So team mentorship. So do you think that you're going to be a team mentor as well?
Yeah, I feel like he taught me well enough so that I could teach someone else and help them learn, and then they teach someone else, and you know.
And so on, right? So what would you say to someone who maybe is sitting in the stands at the football game and maybe watching what's going on down there with the robotics team, but they're kind of like, I don't know if that's for me. Any words of wisdom?
Well, I could tell them that it may look a little bit scary or like intimidating at first, but it's a lot of fun once you get into it, and it's not like that scary or that hard to learn, because once you have a good like passion for it, then you can go anywhere.
And there's free snacks.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Oh, wait, hold on. Good job. So don't go yet. So where can everyone go to follow your team and to stay up to date with your robotics story?
Well, if you look up Team 3140 Flagship online, then you'll find our website, which also leads to our YouTube and I think our Instagram.
Good job. There you go. All right, thank you. So how much time was that?
2:33.
2 minutes and 33 seconds. And now we know a whole lot more about him, about his team, and his words of wisdom, and where we can go to learn more about his team, right? The go deeper piece. So that's simple. I mean, he wasn't prepared. He didn't know what I was going to ask him. If we had more time, it could have been a little bit different. But even then, didn't you feel kind of like, cool, that's really cool. They have free snacks. And you may say, our robotics team doesn't have free snacks. Wait a minute. What's his favorite snack? We didn't ask that. We could have gone into it. But so think about doing simple little things like that and then sharing that through to SoundCloud and or it could be anywhere. I'm just giving a simple one, SoundCloud. And then from SoundCloud, you could go to Twitter and it could go to Facebook and it could go here and it could go there. It could go on your website. You could actually create your own online radio show if you wanted to. So now what I want to do is I want you to interview someone that you don't know about their robotics journey. So who wants to be the interviewee? I'm hearing radio show over here. Oh, we got someone back there? Come on. So I'm coming to you. How far can you go? You can go? I'm coming over here. You want to give that to them? Just hit the red button. It's really easy. Introduce yourself, and then ask him about his name, his robotics journey, and then where he's going to be.
Am I holding this?
Yeah. And then just press the button. Hold it between us.
Now? Okay, cool.
So, hi, I'm Keegan, and this is...
Shane Coven.
Hi, nice to meet you, Shane.
Nice to meet you too.
So, what is your robotics story?
How I started?
Yeah.
So my school really we focus a lot on group projects. And one of my friends that was on the robotics team at the time, he noticed that I always like to make websites. I always like to make a Twitter account for the project. I always like to brand the project, even if it wasn't necessary. I always made a brand, just what I like to do. So one day, he invited me over. He said, hey, we don't have a social media team. I know you like making that stuff, so can you try it out? And now I've been doing this for the past year and a half, and I love it.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. So his major hook was that he knew something that you like to do, and then he said that you can do it in robotics and help do a lot.
It gave me something that I could brand throughout the year instead of just branding a project that'll last a couple weeks.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So how can we find your team online?
We mainly use Twitter and Instagram. It's at 5431FRC, Titan Robotics. At 5431FRC.
So do you guys have like a website, or is it just Instagram?
Right now we're working on our website. It's taking a lot of time, a little bit more time than we thought. It's still a little puppy, has a lot of time. But we're getting close. We're about to have one.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Where could this go? Right here. Where could it go? Where should this go? At SoundCloud, yes. And that was 1 minute and 41 seconds, and we know a lot more about them, right? So that's just within teams. What about your partners? Ask your partners. I'll tell you what I do. If for those of you that know me, know that when we do events, we do these things called social media lounges. And so it's a booth space with branding behind us. We have a camera. I have a big camera, big kind of honking camera that's heavy to carry around. But I also have this. And I wind up using both. And I'll tell you what, this is getting better video than my big honking camera, because the phones are getting better and better and better. And all I need is a little mic, and I can do everything that I need to do, and I can do Periscope and Facebook Live and everything else that's going on out there, and do it really quickly. So one of the things I like to do is I like to get the partners, our sponsors inside of the social media lounge, and I ask them, what is it that you see around here? We don't have any partners in the room, do we? Okay. I was gonna say we could do an interview right now, but I like to ask them, what is it that why are they involved with robotics? They're a company, they have a primary mission statement for their company, but why are they devoting, development dollars and employee volunteers and time and all that stuff? And I tell you what they tell me time and time again is that they watch you all in the pits. They watch you in competition, and what they see you all doing is exactly what they're doing in the workforce. And they're so impressed by what you're doing, which is why there's, $50 million worth of scholarship from 200, major universities. That's why there's, employment opportunities for first alumni in a way, because of what you're doing and how you're doing it is attractive to employers and to our partners. And it's exciting to watch from this end. And so I want to encourage you all to just keep doing it, but use the tools to kind of shine a spotlight on every aspect of it. So do you think that you're going to want to do an online radio show, both of you in the back? They might have gotten bitten by the bug. It's not hard, it's easy, have fun. The first few interviews that you do, whether it's video, whether it's audio, even the first 5 blog posts, they're not going to be the best that you've ever done. You're going to be proud of them as well. You should be proud of them, but get past those first 5 so you can get better and better and better and better. And then share what you know and keep doing it and share and share. And pretty soon we'll all be getting that message of First Out across all the different channels. We won't just be doing it in a blog post or in a tweet. We won't just be doing it on YouTube or on Snapchat, but we'll be doing it inside of people's earbuds. Because, when you're listening to a podcast, you're probably, working out, doing stuff around the house, traveling in the car. And so that's time where if you're driving a car, can you read a blog post? Can you watch a video? Maybe, but you shouldn't, right? Right? But what could you do? Could you plug your phone into your Bluetooth of your car or through a wire and listen to a robotics podcast of all your favorite teams? Think about that. These are just the ideas of things that you could consider doing, and it's very simple. Now, I brought all these tools up here because I wanted you to feel free. We're done in like just a couple minutes. We have I think maybe 10 or 15 minutes before we have to bolt out of here. If you all want to come up here and use the tools to interview each other and get a sense of what that is, feel free. Take the potential tech fear out of it. And what I want you to do is just go out there and have fun and tell your story, because it's a story that should be told, and it's a story that is engaging and exciting. And I just can't wait to get out there and go to iTunes and subscribe to all of your Robotics Team podcasts, because then I'm going to create a channel that just has all of your podcasts in there, and I'm just going to listen to them. So have fun, have a great first champ, and that's it.
So where can we find something like this? Best Buy, $35. $35? This is really interesting. I did not.